Okay, so what is your name and date of birth?
Marianne Melberg Billmeyer, born December 11th, 1958,
Where were you born?
in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
And then how long did you live there?
Not long. I was 5 by the time I was here in St. Louis. So I was in Des Moines, Iowa while my dad was going to college before that. So not long, 6 months probably.
So then where did you move to?
Des Moines, Iowa from Oshkosh. And then when my dad graduated college, he got a job here in St. Louis, Missouri at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft. And so we moved here, and I've lived here ever since.
Okay, so what were you like as a child growing up?
I don't know. I know that my mom checked boxes on a little chart, and I know she's checked selfish. Probably loving, probably obedient, but selfish, according to her box checked there.
Did you have any developmental delays or any struggles growing up, or were
No.
you an advanced child in any way, or were you just average?
Straight A's, involved in a lot of activities.
What kind of activities were you involved in throughout grade school first and then throughout high school?
I don't remember grade school at all. Typical stuff, I'm sure, but I don't think they had organized sports growing up at my grade school. I don't think. But in high school, all I remember extracurricular is pom-poms.
Okay, so were you good at that, or
Yeah, I was good.
did you enjoy it a lot?
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
Was it like an everyday thing, or how often?
It was often, and it took up a lot. And we performed at basketball games for junior high, and then into high school it was much bigger, and we traveled and competed, and we were good. We were the best, except we rivaled Lindbergh. But while I was on the pom-pom court, we always beat them. And but it was very serious. There was everyday practice and practice in the summer, and it was hard not to quit. But it was great.
So what were your parents like when you were growing up? Were they strict? Were they laid back? Were they in between? Or what kind of environment did you live in growing up?
It was very structured. I had 3 siblings, an older sister and 2 younger brothers. And my dad had kept very steady hours. He was always home for dinner. My mom always had a full, balanced meal on the table, and we always sat down and ate dinner together as a family.
Would you describe your family as very close-knit?
Yes, we were very close.
And how did you get along?
The kids, we were all close in age, so my sister was a year and a half older than I. My brother, younger than I, 11 months to the day younger. And then my youngest brother was a year and almost 2 years younger than I. So we were all boom, 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 boom. So yeah, we were close.
And how did you get along with your siblings growing up?
We fought. But we played. We fought together and played together. We took a lot of family vacations, mostly camping, and float trips. We owned our own canoe, and my dad converted this truck into a camper. So we have a lot of good memories from that. But he took us on road trips places. We made a lot of road trips to Wisconsin because all of our relatives lived there. My mom and dad's families both lived up there. And so, but we got along well. We were close. We're still close.
What would you say your favorite childhood memory is? or your most distinct childhood memory?
Christmas.
Just Christmas in general?
Christmas was so special. Yeah, it's favorite. That and all of our camping trips and float trips. Those were fun. But definitely Christmas was so special at our house.
So you mentioned that you got straight A's. Was that through grade school and high school? Were you always a really good student?
I think so. I'd have to look, but yeah, I had to work hard at it. It didn't come easily for me. So,
Do you happen to know what your learning style was at all, or how you learned best, or did you just have to work really hard at it?
I remember working hard, and I remember barricading myself in the bathroom to study, probably to stay away from all the noise that was going on in the house full of all of us kids. But I just remember being cooped up in between the vanity and the wall. It was a small bathroom, and I would be sitting on the register and with my books. I just remember that. But no, I had to study. I had to work hard at it. It didn't come easily. And I also was selected for National Honor Society by the teachers. So that wasn't something we applied for. That was something where they went and chose students from the school. And it wasn't a large number at the time, so I was very honored to have been selected for that. So not only did I work hard at my schoolwork, I also must have had a decent reputation with the teachers. So,
What do you think your biggest challenge was growing up? Biggest challenge you had to overcome, or a difficult situation that you went through? At any point in your life, really.
at any point in my life, honestly, heartache from breaking up with a boy. I would say that's the hardest thing, other than losing someone to death. But that's why I tell my kids it's the hardest thing. I feel it was the hardest thing I've had to deal with. It's just hard. You're young and your hormones, it just breaks your heart. You don't feel like you want to go on. It's just, and I wish kids knew you'll get over it. It's not worth doing anything stupid over. It's just, but at that age, you just think it's the end of the world.
Oh, did you go to college?
Unfortunately, not really. I started and just took a couple of college classes at the local community college, but speed reading and French. No, I did not. What I was going to do, I spent a large amount of money for my age, $1,000 on a typewriter. So in 1977, that was a lot of money for a 16 or 17-year-old kid to spend on a typewriter. But and I bought a stenograph machine, and I went down to the School of Court Reporting in St. Louis, and I was going to become a court stenographer, but it was too hard. I couldn't handle it. Couldn't do it. So I quit. I gave up.
What did you do instead?
Instead, that was part of the problem. I left school. I was so good at typing and shorthand that I won. The school sent me for state competition for typing, and I took second place out of the whole state. And so I was good at that, and so I was easily employable in the places like Kelly Girl, where companies would ask them to send out people to do jobs, and I always had a job. And most of those jobs that I went to were large corporations, and usually they wanted to hire me permanently. So I worked for Emerson Electric, I worked for Monsanto Company, I worked for Anheuser-Busch. That way they start you as a temporary employee, and then if they like you, they hire you. So I made a lot of money for a kid. So it was really hard to not just continue that. And that's what I did. And I made decent money. I always had a job and a good job. And then when I went to work for Anheuser-Busch, it was a fantastic job. And that's where I had my 15-year career before I had you.
So what is the most historically significant thing that you have lived through?
9/11. And I could cry thinking about it.
Do you remember the day?
I remember it so vividly. I had Amanda. She was a tiny baby. And you were at preschool when I found out. And didn't know what to do. Didn't know. Just awful. It's awful. And there was another thing that I witnessed that was the tsunami, that it was catastrophic and tens of thousands of people died. And it was just the most bizarre thing I'd ever seen besides 9/11. So that was very difficult to know that that went on also. So next question was what?
What is the biggest challenge that you have overcome?
I would say raising children. And I haven't overcome it yet because I still have a 14-year-old. You're basically well on your way to adulthood, but my 14-year-old is not. And she has given us some challenges. So that, I would say, is that.
So what would you say your biggest strength is in general as a person?
I would like to think it's compassion, and my heart makes me want to celebrate people's, special times and acknowledge people's hard times with kindnesses. Unfortunately, I don't follow through as many times as it comes to my mind. I should do this, I should do that. But I feel like it's my heart, my compassion to want to celebrate others.
Okay, so what do you think your most important advice is about life in general, or things that are important to keep in your life?
The biggest thing I think is that you should have a relationship with Jesus and God the Father. And I think without that, life is just empty. I don't know how you can have a good, worthy life without that. And I think that with that, you end up with a lot of joy that you wouldn't otherwise have. And on that note, the biggest thing I've tried to teach you and Amanda, and I think one of the most important things in life is to be forgiving. And I've always said if we don't forgive others, God won't forgive us, because we all need to be forgiven. And I think you girls have learned it well, both of you. And I just think that's probably the number one thing that will help you be happier in your life. Because if you go through life holding grudges, it just eats away at you. It doesn't hurt the other person necessarily. It might, but mostly it just better to just let it go. And I think that you have a better chance at happiness if you do that.
So would you say you've lived a happy life so far?
Yes, very happy. I've been very blessed. Continue to be very blessed.
Okay, well, thank you so much.